Hey, welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. I'm Brad. We're going to be going over the Central Division today, and I already know that I'm going to have some controversy because I've already had some discussions with one team, some fans of one team that don't like my ranking, and they're not going to like it today because they did not make the playoffs. But if you're interested on any of the teams, I've gone over all the teams. I did a whole video on each team. In all 32 teams, I've already done the Atlantic Division standings. I've done the Metropolitan standings, and now we're on to the Central standings. So we're gonna jump right into it. Let's go over last year's standings. So last year's standings, you have Colorado winning the division with a great amount of points, 109. Dallas really fighting away there with 1 point less. So this is where you've seen a ton of competition here. And of course, the Wild playing phenomenal. Surprisingly, they have 103 points. By the way, they have they have a ton of cap space being tied up by their buyouts. When by just making the playoffs, not really making much of a splash there. But again, the Predators, Blues, Arizona Coyotes, and Chicago, we kind of expected them to be down at the bottom. So let's go over my rankings. We're going to start right at the bottom. And as you may anticipate, it is Chicago. Chicago is in the bottom again. Because they are trying to tank. They picked up a great player in Connor Bedard. I mean, I don't know if you heard of him. He's kind of a big deal. He's kind of been, all over the news. He was just on Pat McAfee's show too. Picked number one. And the one thing I genuinely really excited about him as a player, but I'm so annoyed about him right now currently because he's like, I don't know if I'll play. I'm not sure if I'll make the team. I'm like, dude, get out of here. You are the number one overall pick. You're a phenomenal player. I understand being humble, but you're just being annoying at this point. So, and the reason they did that, or a couple of the moves that they ended up doing, is they ended up trading for Corey Perry for a seventh round pick from Tampa Bay, as well as trading for Nick Foligno and Taylor Hall from the Boston Bruins, and that allows them to kind of surround them with a little bit more grit with Foligno and Perry, as well as some talent in Taylor Hall, also a number one overall pick, as well as signing Ryan Donato. So, I mean, with this page, you're not really, I mean, you're looking at some of the depth here, right? But you're not looking to get a ton of goals. I actually think Connor Bedard can get 60, 70 points, potentially winning the Calder if he stays healthy. I like this top line. And really, you're just filling it out with guys that are going to be selling off at one point. I mean, really, if you look at their roster, if you go down to their cap-friendly page, this is their forwards right here, and it's not going over. Look, they have these are only a couple forwards. They have Taylor Hall, Anthony Donato, and Bedard. Those are the four forwards that they have next year signed to deals. So all these guys are either going to be sold off and traded, or they're going to be re-signed to cheaper bridge deals. And then also, if you look at the defense, pretty similar. You have Jones, Connor Murphy. I mean, you don't have much working down here. So this is definitely the definition of rebuilding team. But exciting, tune into this hockey because it is a great hockey team. Because it's got Bedard. It's got another first overall pick in Taylor Hall. Not the guy he used to be, not the Hart winner he was previously, but still a good player. Next on seventh place, I have the Arizona Coyotes. In my opinion, doing the best job at a rebuild. I am enthusiastically so geeked about them. Check out my video, and I have so much enthusiasm for them. I'm so excited for them, and not this year, because to me they're in seventh. They did make some cool moves though, cool moves, and had a good season last year with Keller having 86 points in 82 games. Logan Cooley, if you haven't seen his video, you saw his preseason video. It was great. I mean, if you haven't seen the Spinorama, I mean, it's classic Spinorama. I mean, you go check him out. And according to them, he's a top prospect in the world. So that is their opinion, I guess. But Logan Cooley is huge upside, and I think he's going to be a great center in the league. They also signed Zucker and Dumba. They also traded for Sean Dursey from LA, as well as trading away Bukestad and Stetcher at the trade deadline, and then re-signing them when they came back. I'll tell you, that's a really great deal. If you can do that with players that want to be here and provide value, that's how you do it. You can come back. It's kind of exciting. They also moved Chikrin as well, so there's a big hole in defense. But again, they're slowly making prospects. They're having prospects come up. But you're going to see some huge step up from Barrett Hayden. Again, Logan Cooley potentially even taking over that first line center position. Matias Maselli. You have Logan Krause. I mean, Jack McBain, who they traded for. JJ Moser is going to step up, of course, especially being paired with Dumba, Valimaki. Sean Dursey playing there as well. I think that'll be a huge push for Valimaki. They did lose their goalie on waivers, Prostov, who to the Avalanche. So that is one bummer, but they did extend Connor Ingram and Valimaki, and I just like them for some reason. Not great. Ingram had a good save percentage here at .903, or .907. But to me, it's amazing the amount of goalies that come out of Arizona, like Kemper. There's actually a couple of goalies, and of course I can't think of them off the hand. But again, it's a rebuilding team, but I think they're going to be surprisingly a lot better than last year because some of the guys they ended up signing this year. So moving on to the sixth position, I have the Nashville Predators. This is one of the ones that I was controversial on. I wasn't really sure about it because because they have an amazing goalie. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name's UC Saros. He's kind of a big deal. He's kind of a top 5 goaltender in the league. And they have all this cap space too that they can work with. But to me, this is not the time for Nashville. I think they actually need to retool or take a couple of years to retool, similar to what the Blues are doing. But they had UC Saros. He is 28 years old. So to me, what you're going to do is he's 28. So you keep him here, and then eventually sign him to a bigger deal. We saw that with Hellebuck. He signed an 8-year deal. So at 30, when you start as 30, you sign him to a 6, 7, 8-year deal, and that is when you go full bore once you sign him to that new deal, because really they have a lot of guys that are not going to be here long term. They did sign Ryan O'Reilly, Gustav Nyquist. My apologies, I haven't learned how to edit yet, so. But and they have some young guys like Cody Glass as well. But overall, some of these guys are not going to be here necessarily long term. Jeremy Lauzon. I mean, but to me, they're in this weird spot, right, where I don't think they're going to be amazing. And you can't just rely on Saros. You need to put goals. And one of the things that we're going to have an issue with is the goaltending is not going to be everything. And they're not going to be able to get goals because Philip Forsberg has been out on injury reserve. So. But mind you, they also did trade away. They traded away Jeannot. They also traded away Ryan Johansson. Traded Ryan Johansson. They bought out Duchesne. They moved Granlund. They moved Niederreiter. They traded Jeannot, Ekholm, Johansson. Like, to me, they're just tearing it down, and this is good. This is a good thing they should be doing. But again, it's just not a playoff team to me. And so I'm curious on how Barry Trotz is going to tackle this. So we will see. Again, they have great lines, but I think, again, like I said, they're to me, they should be retooling. They haven't talked about it out loud, but they should be retooling, and they have a cap space to be able to take on dead cap with that $7.8 million. So moving on to my next team in the 5th place in the division, and not in a wild card position. To me, that they will fight for a playoff spot, but they will miss it, and that is the St. Louis Blues. To me, I just don't have a ton of confidence in the St. Louis Blues at this point. To me, they're not there yet. Sorry, water break. So they're not there yet because they moved out a lot of bigger guys like O'Reilly, Achari, Tarasenko, and they're the stars that they have, the people that are there. They are stars. They're just not superstars. And I don't even know if you can say Tarasenko and O'Reilly were necessarily superstars, but they lost a lot of that higher end talent, and they are gonna make up a little bit of that, right? They ended up picking up Kevin Hayes for a 6th-round pick, which I thought was a good deal. They also picked up the reclamation project in Jacob Verana, who could work out very nicely. He's shown that he can be a good scorer. He ended up getting waived and get placed in the AHL. There were some issues with him going to the player assistance program, but again, it seems like he's rebounded, and I'm excited for him to have a new start. And hopefully, and I love Jacob Verana. I was super excited to get him back I'm a Red Wings fan. I was super excited when the Red Wings got him in the Mantha trade, and I thought it was a huge potential, and it didn't work out in Detroit, but hopefully it can work out in St. Louis. So the one big factor and the reason that I have them in 5th place is goaltending. I don't have a ton of confidence in Binnington, and Hofer is going to be a good goalie. He's just not there yet. He's only 23 years old. If you look at their stats, Binnington had a 3.31 goals against average and a .894 save percentage, so that's below 900, and that's just not acceptable for a goalie. You're paying $6 million a year, and only 27-27 record. So he's a 500 at this point, and you just need more out of that goalie. And I think he can bounce back. I just don't know if he's going to be able to be at a goalie like Saros, Hellebuck, Ottinger in this league. Not in this league, this division. And Hofer didn't play much better. 3.22 goals against average and a .905 save percentage. Better. .905 is closer to league average just because scoring is going up in the league, but just not fully there yet. And again, I'm just not super impressed with the. I think he's got a lot of big deals that need to. I mean, I like. Let's go to their deals real quick. I like some of the people they have here, right? But some of them are just a little bit longer. But I just don't know if these guys are going to be the guys that are going to be the ones that are needle movers. So, but you do have like Pavel Buchnevich. I like this top line right here. Saad's good. Braden Shen's good. New captain, by the way. I think that your Kevin Hayes, good center depth there. And hopefully, again, if Veronica can work out. But to me, it's just not. I don't love this defense core, and I don't love the Jordan Bennett and Hofer. That is a big. But again, I could be surprised. This was a down year last year. They have won the cup in the last couple of years, right? So, and there's still a lot of this core team here that could be the needle movers, and so there's an opportunity for them to break out into a spot and take over the next team that I do have above them. But in my opinion, just based on what I've seen and my, it's just like, it's more of a gut feeling. I just don't see it at this point. So we're gonna move on to my fourth pick that I have in the division, and it is the Winnipeg Jets. I liked the direction that they were going until they signed Hellebuck and Scheifele today. I thought they were going to be doing a good actually, let me rephrase. I liked the direction, but I wasn't super excited. I actually thought they were going to move Hellebuck because I thought he was going to command a bigger contract. I actually like Hellebuck's contract, and I don't love Scheifele's contract. So I think they both signed for 7 years at $8.5 million. So I like. Again, I like Hellebuck, but I don't know if I like Scheifele. Scheifele is a black hole defensively, but he is a scoring dynamo, right? He can do very well there. But again, I just don't know if he is the guy. I think that he has caused some of the ruckus that we saw in the locker room, and one of the reasons that there was so much tension in the locker room previously. But Scheifele last year had 42 goals, 68 points in 81 games, so you know he can play well there. And a couple. Let's talk about we'll talk about Adam Lowry, who they signed, and Cole Perfetti, who's gonna have a full time position in the lineup at this point, playing this second line center position. No way, I thought it was a winger. That's even better. He's a second line center. That's amazing. He'll be able to step up in that position as well. Again, as well as putting Adam Lowry as the new captain. And the big trade that I'm obsessed with. There were so many good big trades this past season with the Erik Karlsson deal, and then you also have the PLD trade from Winnipeg to LA, and I thought the return they got was phenomenal for Winnipeg. They got Gabe Lardy, a 2017 first round pick, Alex Iafallo, great stable player, middle six guy, Rasmus Kupari, 2018 first round pick, 18th overall by the way, and an additional second round pick. For a sign and trade for PLD. Again, huge. I loved it. And so I'm really excited for them. I think it's going to be I think they have a lot of good pieces here. I don't know if they can go far, but Hellebuck is really going to be the deciding factor for this team. Hellebuck having a .902 save percentage and a 2.49, played a huge bulk of the season at 64 games, as well as, by the way, they also signed Laurent Brossoit, who is Stanley Cup winner, Laurent Brossoit. And he played 11 games last year. Had struggled with a lot of injuries and was not able to bounce. I played a little bit of the playoffs, I think, but it was mostly ended up being Aiden Hill, right? So, anyways, we're gonna move on to my third place team in the Central Division, and that is the Minnesota Wild. So, a couple things they did: they extended Zuccarello, Marcus Foligno, as well as Ryan Hart, as well as let's talk about the elephant in the room. It's Kaprizov. As long as Kaprizov plays well, and this is where we've talked about going through all the teams right here. You've gone through all the, you've gone through the Winnipegs, you've gone through the Nashvilles, you've gone through the St. Louis's. To me, they don't have a Kaprizov, and to me, that is the deciding factor. To me, I know St. Louis did beat Kaprizov the year prior, I believe it was. But in the playoffs, by the way. But to me, Kaprizov is done. That's, I mean, that he's the stopping line. Whether he plays well is a determining factor on whether Minnesota plays well. He had 40 goals last year and was a 92 goal pace, but only played 67 games, so he did not end up getting that point. I think he ended up being at like 75 points. They also signed Marcus Johansson as well. So which is an addition, I guess. It came from Washington. But two players that they do need to see step up is Marco Rossi and Brock Faber, new guys, as well as Kalen Addison. So some of these young guys, because they have such a huge buyout load. If you look here, you go to their bio history with Zach Parise and Ryan Suter, they have $14 million hitting their cap right now, right? So they need young guys to come up because they don't have the cap space to go sign a bunch of new guys and pick up all these acquisitions, which is why they signed Johansson, right? And they trade for Pat Maroon, who was a cheap guy, right? If you look at Pat Maroon here, where is he at? Pat Maroon. There you are, Pat Maroon. He is only making $800,000, right? That's why you trade for a guy like him, because you're just like, hey, we need cheap, good players, and Pat Maroon is going to give you that toughness, that grit, and everything. So that is which is good because you'll be able to protect the new kids with this. So as well as, I mean, and the reason Minnesota, another huge reason is that you have Gustafsson. Gustafsson played a monster season last year, and from I think it was American Thanksgiving on to the end of the regular season, he had the best save percentage in the league, best goals against average. I mean, this guy's, again, monster year, a 2.1 goals against average. Crazy, by the way, crazy. And a .931, which is insane. Phenomenal goal save percentage. I mean, if Allmark was having an amazing year, he might have won the Vezina, honestly. I mean, if he continues to play like this, he can be a top 3 goaltender in the league. I mean, this is, again, we're talking about a division. Look at this division right here. You have, again, going over the goaltenders, you have Ottinger, Gustafsson, Hellebuck, Saros. Like, there's just a lot of, I mean, even Fleury still has it, right? He is older at 38 years old, had a .908 save percentage and a 2.85 goals against average, but it's still a solid goaltending tandem, a 1A, 1B. Honestly, they could just split the net, and as long as Fleury's feeling healthy enough, continue to play him. But again, I think this is they have game breakers on this team. And Kaprizov is definitely one of them. And again, Gustafsson is huge as well. And they just have these young kids that are going to come up as well. So I think I'm excited for them. I think they're going to do very well in the playoffs. So moving on to my second team so if you can guess, we have 2 teams left. We have Dallas and Colorado. And for me personally, I know Colorado finished first in the division last year, but to me, they are going to finish second in the division this next year. So to me, that is the Minnesota depth chart. Anyway, here's Colorado. They are going to finish second, and we know they had Landeskog out most of the last year as well. But he might actually be coming back for the playoffs. He's working, he's rehabbing and everything. And they had a ton of injuries last year. But to me, Colorado is one of those teams that just, again, game breakers. You have McKinnon. You have a new guy. This guy that played with him in juniors. I don't know if you know what his name is. Jonathan Drouin, who was actually drafted by Tampa Bay, traded to Montreal Canadiens, and is now now signed with the Colorado Avalanche. Again, very excited for them because the chemistry supposedly the chemistry they had in juniors was electric. So if they can bring that back, by the way, Drouin making $900,000 a year. If you're worried about the new most expensive player in the league being Nathan McKinnon at $12.6 million a year, don't worry. That difference in $900,000 from Drouin, now you have two, $6.5 million players essentially if you average it out. So I think they're going to do all right. As well as they traded for Ryan Johansson at half retained. So Ryan Johansson at $8 million, less desirable. But at $4 million, very desirable. 26 goals last year. Well, 26 goals, not last year, but in 21, 22. So there's still some production. And they have been looking for that second line center position to be filled since they lost Kadri. And that was supposed to be Newhook, but that did not work out. He just didn't end up meeting expectations, which is one of the reasons they ended up shipping Newhook out to the Montreal Canadiens for a first-round draft pick and a second-round draft pick. Crazy enough, taking that second-round draft pick and actually flipping it for Ross Colton for the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is a great depth pickup. Probably going to play in third-line center position. We'll look over the depth chart real quick. Probably playing third-line center, as well as picking up Thomas Tatar, who had 20 goals last year. Quiet 20 goals. Thomas Tatar on the New Jersey Devils and was looking for that multi-year deal. Ended up signing a 1-year deal with Colorado, which again, great pickup by them. And then also signing Miles Wood to a big extension. I think they ended up getting him for, let me go here, Miles Wood. So he's a UFA until 2029. So he ended up signing a 6-year deal at $2.5 million. So keep the AAV low, but the way you do that is you sign it for a long term. So that makes sense. And also, just to note, again, not only does this team have game breakers on the front, right? With Rantanen, you have if you go to Rantanen right here, going over, Rantanen had 105 points. McKinnon had 111 points. I mean, talk about players that can just really step up in a pinch. These are guys that are going to be the deciding factors. But not only on the front end, you also have it on the back end with Cale Makar, Devon Taves, who's actually talking about he's UFA at 2024 and wants to extend with them, but it has to be a win-win. That's what he's looking for right now. He's already only making $4.1 million. What a great trade. I can't believe Lou Lamoriello will let him go. Bowen Byron is really going to start taking a step here, right? And then Josh Manson hurt a ton last year. Then you have Samuel Girard, and then re-signing Jack Johnson. Like, this is genuinely probably the best decor in the league. So I don't see why this team couldn't be they are a Stanley Cup contender in my opinion. Especially if they can get Drouin to really shake off some of those bugs and really get him to work out with McKinnon. I think you're going to see an electric first line here, and they're going to have to watch hockey. One issue they do have is that they have a starter in Georgiev who did play a bulk of 62 games last year. But one of their other goalies in Pavel Francois. Oh my God, holy injury! Look at this. That's a huge injury list. Now, the biggest players being Landeskog and Pavel Francois. But their backup and Francois being injured. They ended up picking Ivan Prostov from the Arizona Coyotes on waivers this past couple days. And so hopefully and he actually is a little bit bigger. So hopefully maybe he's a young goalie, 24 years old, was on a 2-way deal, so he can get sent down as well. No, he can't. He's not waiver exempt. So he'll have to be placed on waivers. But hopefully we'll see Francois bounce back a little bit and Georgiev doesn't take on too much of a workload. So again, but now moving on to the last team, of course, the best team in the Central, the Dallas Stars. I'm a big Dallas Stars fan. They're actually my third favorite team. I got Red Wings, I got San Jose Sharks, and then the Dallas Stars. And I'm a massive Pavelski fan. I actually like a lot of things that the cool thing about Dallas Stars, what they're doing is they're doing this. They have this old guard, right? They have old guard meaning older guys, I guess. You have Sagan and Ben who are the old guard, but then Pavelski who's also old and came in. But then you have these new guys coming in like Robertson, Miro Heiskanen. You have Lundqvist. You have I just missed his name. Why can't I think of it? Wyatt Johnson, right? You have these young guys that are coming in that they're taking over the team, and they're going to be that new guard that comes in. Ottinger as well, young guy, signed to a nice deal. So to me, this is a phenomenal team. I just think that I love what they're doing. I think the dynamicism from them is amazing. The depth they have on them. I mean, the point scoring. I mean, look at this first line. Look at Robertson getting 46 points and 46 goals, 109 points, 37 goals by Pavelski, Hintz, and then Joe Pavelski picking up the slack with 28 goals and 77 points. Mind you, this guy's 39 years old, putting up 77 points in 82 games. I mean, talk about an amazing first line. And you have Jamie Benn and Wyatt Johnson moving up right here. This is Jamie Benn how about this resurgence that he's had, and Wyatt Johnson taking over that second line center spot from Tyler Seguin. But it's not a big deal. Oh no, not even. They moved Seguin down to the right wing. Honestly, I'd actually moved Dadonov down to the third wing and put Seguin up. In my opinion, because I thought Ben and Seguin always had a lot of good chemistry. But if you want to distribute some of the talent, I understand that as well. Again, picking up Matt Duchene for a couple $1 million. I think it was like $3 million. I mean, crazy, right? I mean, last year he had 22 points, like 71 games, 56 points for $3 million. I signed that 10 out of 10 times. Again, and then you get some young guys. Pick up Craig Smith as well. on a cheap deal, a $1 million deal. Ty Delandria, one of those young guys I was talking about, Radix Foxa, has been around for a bit. But again, I think you have Miro Haskin having a phenomenal year, like 73 points in 79 games. And you have Ryan Suter, who's probably a little bit overpaid for who he is now. Again, being 38 years old, essentially a buyout candidate. But I think he's a great player. Niels Lundqvist, that is one person I think that needs to step up because he's a first round. They traded a first round pick to the New York Rangers for him. So that is one player I really like to see take a huge step. Thomas Harley, and of course the two goalies. And this is actually, to me, is even probably the most important because most of these teams have goalies that are starters and they have a backup who's average or below average, right? And I think the combination of having Jake Ottinger and Scott Wedgwood is perfect from last year, right? Looking at them only playing $5 million for those two goalies. And if you look at the results you're getting from them, Ottinger getting to put up a 2.37 goals against average and a .919 save percentage, playing 62 games. Holy smokes. I mean, we know Gustafsson played phenomenal, but he did not play as many games as Ottinger, right? Put up at 37 and 11. And I don't know the tie record. But then Wedgwood backing up phenomenally. How did he played 21 games, 2.72, and the 2.915 goal save percentage. So again, phenomenal goaltending. To me, it's a vibes thing, and I really like what Colorado's doing, but I think just Dallas, they're just on a new level right now. I think they're just taking over, and I'm really excited to see what they can do. Again, and they also signed Sam Steele as well. Some scoring depth. Played for the Wild last year, 28 points, 68 games. So that is it. We have the Central Division, guys. So here's my list right here. You know, Dallas, Colorado, Minnesota, Winnipeg making the playoffs. No fifth spot in this division. St. Louis does have a chance to take over and potentially knock out Winnipeg. But the thing is you just have such great goaltending in Dallas, Winnipeg, and Minnesota, as well as game breakers in Minnesota and Dallas, and so I just don't know if those. I think those top three are definitely solidified. And if Hellebuyck continues to produce and Scheifele continues to produce, I think that's maybe the determining factor, which keeps St. Louis down because I'm just not confident in Binnington as a goalie, and I don't care for the defensive core. Again, I do love that top line of that St. Louis has, but same with Nashville. I just don't know if they have the greatest players to be able to step up, especially with Forsberg being injured. But you have Saros, so there could be some battle there. But to me, they should be retooling. And of course, Arizona and Chicago being that rebuild. So, anyways, if you stuck around the whole video, hit like, hit subscribe, comment, let me know what your thoughts are, and let me know because I work hard on these and I wanna show some love because I'm excited. But I'm gonna continue to produce these whether you like or subscribe or not. So, anyways, yeah, it's late. I'm gonna go to bed. Night, love you.